Let's go. We're not starting with our handbook because remember, I think we went over, didn't we, 9, 10, 11, 12 yesterday? And that's what you needed for the worksheet. You didn't need 13 through 20. So let's go through calculator worksheet number 2 first. Then we'll go to the handbook and see how you guys did in finishing up. But real quick, from the handbook, do you guys remember piecewise functions, the very, very end? How many of you guys think that's the trickiest thing in the handbook? Interesting. Maybe I helped you out too much yesterday. Okay, here we go. 1 and 2. Is anybody still grading 1 and 2? We did it yesterday. We're okay. All right. Let's go ahead and grade 3 and 4 and 5 if you can see it. Let me give you a second. And if while you're grading, or if you got stuck last night, if you have a question you can ask, go for it. But we do need to take a little bit of time as far as letting people grade. Go ahead.
For when it has like weight or height,
Yeah. You do, it just kind of got, I don't know, rubbed off. So I apologize for that. You should. Technically, seconds is the unit for time, so that would have been the best unit there. I don't know why I didn't put it. And for the height, in context of the problem, I started to write meters and the copier cut it off. So I apologize. But yeah, for letter A, it should have been 1.725 meters. And for letter B, it should have been 0.402 seconds. I was lazy on one, and the copier stole it on the other. Mm-hmm.
Isn't the height of object plus the height of 1.03754 meters?
No, because check it. At time 0, it's already been 4. So it's already being accounted for. So the function is including. No, it was a good idea, though. That's very creative. And sometimes that's necessary in physics. But the model accounted for the initial height. Good question. On letter B, did anybody put 0.430? Okay, help. As a class, why did they put 0.430? It makes sense, except they're wrong. They just didn't think of something. Why would you put 0.430 for this one? Not even looking at your calculator. Or those of you guys that put it. Where'd you find 0.430? Jordan?
Well, I'm just confused because, like, they did the times of the height.
Well, actually, it was asking for, you're right, like both of them are included, but actually the answer was the time. But why did they put 0.430 if the right answer is 0.402? Yeah, where'd you find it?
Probably they think that's the highest point.
Because?
Actually, it's not.
But why do they think it's the highest? Where do you see it?
Because it's higher than the chart.
They only looked at the chart and they said highest, highest, highest. Got it, highest, done. The problem is this chart the only positions of something that was flying through the air?
No, position I think is not forward.
Position is continuous. So that means that it went between here and here and here and here and here and here and here. But what happened here? Could it have gone higher? And the answer is yes, because it was probably a parabolic shape. Since this difference is not constant, this is not the highest, or else it would be, well, as long as these are equidistant, it would be the exact same. Long story short, what in the problem was supposed to tell you don't just use the table? What wording? Maximum might be a hint, like that's a feature in our calculator, but also, what are you supposed to be using now? Okay, you're supposed to be using the formula now. So for those of you guys that put 0.430, I get it. You looked at the table and said it's the highest. The problem is you didn't look at the regression that showed all the positions, because actually it goes a little bit higher right before. So that's actually the downhill slope. So if you were to look at the graph of this downward parabola, and if you were to find the maximum using, where's the max again, guys, in our calculator? If we have a graph. Good. Second trace. The maximum feature is right here. So second trace, the max feature, that would have found you the true maximum, which is 1 point. Now I put 1.800. That's awkward. Is that the max that you guys got, 1.800?
Yes, at what time?
True. True. Does anybody else realize why I'm like, oh no, this one's higher, right? So those people who found it in the table would be like, wait, that's not right. My guess is I wrote down the maximum wrong. Did anybody actually write down the entire point for the max with a 0.402? You all just wrote down the x's? Ah, struggle. This is the true max. I think my y must have been a little off. That's what I was thinking, but I shouldn't have had the extra 0. You know what I mean? So I think I wrote it wrong, because it would have been an extra, like, I don't know, a 5 or a 6 or something or others. So I think that was totally my mistake. If we have a little extra time at the end, I'll go ahead and throw that, get it in my calculator. Maybe some of you are doing it right now and looking for the max. See if you can find my mistake, because that doesn't make sense right now the way I rounded it. I think I just rounded off. I shouldn't have that decimal place. I'll go do that right now as you guys check 5 and 6. Jordan. Yeah. That's okay. The glare sometimes gets messy. All right, you guys check 5 and 6. Let me go ahead and throw the other one in my calculator and see what I wrote down that was wrong. Some of you just blind faith it, and you're like, psh, she wasn't wrong. That doesn't make sense. So that's why I'm double checking. I could do a life lesson here about how pastors, sometimes they say, don't trust me, trust the Bible, always take what I say and take it back. Because our ultimate truth isn't supposed to be what some person tells us. It's called discernment. Maybe your Bible teachers talk about it. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, graphing, Zoom standard. Some of you guys might have checked it, so you can check me right now and make sure I have it right. Oh, I rounded. It actually might be right. Or I can explain away the discrepancy. Yep. Okay, we'll get back to that one for those of you guys that realized why I was stuck for a second. Sorry, it's been a year since I did this one, so I had to remember. We'll get back to it. Number 5 and 6, do you guys have any questions in the grading? Did it work out all right? Jordan. Yeah. Yeah, which you could have done by hand, like doing the parentheses and typing it all out.
I did it twice. I got 2.175, and I just did it again, and I got the.
Let me see your calculator.
I got the equation right beside it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. But remember how I showed you that trick yesterday of using the value button? That would be a shortcut to having to plug it all in.
I did it by hand.
It should have worked. I agree. You're plugging in 2.1, 2.1, 2.1. Is anybody else trying to plug these in by hand instead of using the value or function notation? Okay. Ah. Check out your 0.505. Should be a minus. See if that helps. I know. See, that's the hard thing of plugging in by hand. If you have this function in your calculator using the value button, using this cool feature, can save you typing it all out and maybe making a mistake. Like it happens time and time again. Or using the cool either alpha trace, the y1 of, right, 2.1, or old-fashioned calculator people using vars and y-vars. Whether you use the value button or whether you use this cool shortcut, like this can save you time and avoid a mistake like that. Yeah.
For the B, I was confused about that.
Okay.
Where do you use the 10? Like, does that plug into a part in the equation?
That's a great question. If I were you with your colored pen or with a highlighter, I would highlight the word value. And before that, I would highlight the word function. The clue in 6b is when it said the word function and value. Function, isn't that like f of x? Does that make sense? G of x, h of x? F of x, what kind of variable is the f of x? Yeah. So when it says function value, it's giving you in hidden, not hidden, but it seems hidden to you, hidden terminology, find the y value. Or I should say, when will the y value of 10 occur? Does that make sense? Now, this is where it gets a little iffy. Does anybody have struggles or problems? And you should have, because it was hard. Setting y equal to 10 and solving? Now, some of you are like, no, I figured it out. Perfect. But some of you are like, if you set 10 equal to this, like, get x by itself? Those of you that were doing this algebraically, that's awful. It's a cubic with decimals. Ugh, factoring that is awful. So how do we use this thing called the calculator to do what we need to do? Where in your calculator, value is plugging in an x. The function notation is plugging in an x. How do I plug in a y? Y equals. Now some of you are like, no, it doesn't work. Pause. We put in the function in y1. That's totally true. I'm going to do it quick just for illustration because this is an excellent question, both for the worksheet and for the quiz tomorrow. We're tracking on this, right? This is an excellent question to figure out, both for the worksheet and for the quiz tomorrow. We have 0.018x squared minus 0.505 x plus 0.981. Okay? There is nothing here that lets me make y equal 10. Nothing. I can't trace it. I can't zoom to it. I can't use any of these features. So the workaround, the cheater way of doing this is like, well, wait, hold on. I have all these y equals. Why don't I just make one of them 10? Now pause. The question is asking, when will the regression, when will this equation be 10? When will these two meet? Oh, two graphs meet at an intersection point. So we can use the calculator to find an intersection and, in a sense, cheat the system and be like, I don't have to solve it by hand. Instead, all I need to do is get a good window. Dun, 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 dun. And some of you are like, oh, no, 10's up here. Okay, so you guys problem solve. Help, the window's not good enough. I could zoom out. What else could I do? Two things. Okay, maybe zoom fit. I was thinking manually I could just shift the x max. I could do that real quick, make one change, make the x max like 20 or 30. Or I could zoom out. Maybe it's enough. You could try zoom fit, zoom. I don't think anything else would really help. Zoom out totally worked. There's the intersection point. This function will hit 10 at, how do I do the intersection again? Someone had a struggle on that in honors pre-cal today on their quiz, so good thing to review. How do I do intersections? Second, trace, number. How do I answer the questions? Enter, enter. Why is it so easy? How many graphs are there? Just two. And an intersection is always between just two. What if there were 3 or 4 or 5? What would you have to do? Use the toggle buttons to go find the right ones. Does that make sense? So if there's more than 2 graphs, you just have to tell it which 2. But it's super easy. There are only 2. Guess. Remember, you have to answer it. Go somewhere. Hit enter. Dun, 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 12.783. Is that good? How to make y equals. Put it in the y equals intersection point. Okay, let's go ahead and finish them off. You guys okay with superimpose? You remembered it from class yesterday? Put the regression onto the graph. Let me give you a second. I'm pretty sure a lot of you wouldn't have liked letter C. So if you didn't like letter C, hold on and we'll answer that. Anything else that we don't like from number 7? Yeah.
So for D, is there like an actual answer for that one, or is he just wrote above?
It's more get the function on the graph, so it's kind of like A and D are both right there.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So your answering it was just graphing it. Yeah. Any other questions on 7 besides C? Jordan? Okay, it wasn't technically in the handbook, but remember yesterday, I think it's right. Where did we write it? We wrote it underneath this one. So we added the word to our handbook underneath your number 12, right? Is that your number 12? We wrote superimpose underneath your number 12 in the handbook. because this whole process of taking the regression, putting it in the y equals, and sketching it on top of the stat plot or the scatter plot, that's called superimposing. So all you had to do is take the regression, make it y equals, and graph. So then that's why the answer looked like it did on the worksheet, in the sense of not just having the scatter plot, but also having the linear. Yeah. All right, letter C. First of all, who didn't like letter C? Okay, there we go. There's more hands. Good, thank you. Because you're also not only telling me that this is a valid question, but you're also telling your classmates, like, it's okay, it was weird. Letter C, interpret the slope real quick. How do we find slope like normally with 2 points of a line? Do you remember? Y equals mx plus b, you can take the m, but y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Right? That's how you find slope. Slope, in general, you might want to make a note of this, not for the quiz, but just in general. Slope is equal to rise over run, or y's over x's. All you needed to really figure out is what are the units of the y's, what are the x's, and to basically give a label. Because if I was to ask you what, on a freeway, the number 65 represents, like to interpret the number 65, you're like, oh, when the speedometer says 65, it means in 1 hour, 65 miles, it's how fast you're going, like how many miles you would cover in an hour if you kept at that speed. That's a way of interpreting that number of 65 miles per hour. This one, how do I interpret 0.680? What are his units? Well, if it's y's over x's, what are the y's measured in this example? Pounds. It's the rate of change. It's how fast these female kids on average, how fast, how many pounds they're gaining per, got it, pounds per month. Could you have gone into more detail? I suppose. Is the general idea, it's how fast their weight is changing based on their age changing? How many pounds per month? That was the long story short. It wasn't meant to be more complicated. It's a weird question, I know. It's a great question, but it is a little out there, a little abstract. Okay, number 8, last one. I know we're taking time on this, but it was a hard worksheet. If you didn't be peeking at it, you could be totally ignoring it until you get to try it and then come back to the video. Either one's valid, either one's okay, and you can learn from either one, as long as you do it the right way. But remember, if you're writing in pencil right now, you're technically cheating. If you're writing in pen, I'm tracking. Okay? People who tried number 8 and are grading number 8, are you hitting up against any questions that you might want to ask? Yeah, Joe.
You see, I got 57.5.
Okay. Is your model the same? Cool. Let me just double check it just to make sure. And then to others who didn't get there, they can just double check the process after you get the regression of plugging in. On C, we're just plugging in x is 25. Okay, I'm going to make sure my window has 25. Good. Put in my graph. I'll just do the second calc. I'm just using the value feature. Something just funny happened. I don't know what it was. Oh, you know what? You were doing them by hand, huh? Like with the typing out. I bet it was one of those pluses were minuses. The decimal point was in the wrong place. I bet that's all it was. But does it make sense how I'm using my calculator to do it for me? Probably easier. Saves you time at least on the quiz. But good question. Anything else on number 8 you guys want to ask? Yeah, go ahead, Matthew.
When I put in on my graph the plot,
Okay.
what was right? Just when I put in the equation, it wouldn't go through. It would just
Oh, go through here?
no. It wouldn't
Oh.
It wouldn't go through the
Interesting. So it didn't seem to be a good fit. Is that what you're thinking? And it was the same model as mine? Okay. Let me go to my list real quick just because I didn't do the list. And for those of you that are like, I struggled with this worksheet, let's make sure, number one, that you even know what to do with the table. So pause, let's review. How do we make a table? Because I need to check Matthew's question. I need to get the table in there. So what do I do? Good. Stat. Then what? Good. Now I'm at tables. I'm going to put my information in. Being careful that I get everything correct. Not because we prize perfection, but because we want to get the answer right. It's a struggle in math. There we go. 15.1. You guys can double check. For those of you just watching, that's okay. But double check I put it in right. Okay, is it good? 15.1, 39.9, 75.2, 120.5, 175.9. Good. What's a good zoom to help me out with this? Zoom stat. I think it's zoom. Anybody memorize it yet? 9?
Yeah.
Okay. Zoom 9. I don't think. Pause. Troubleshoot. You don't need me to do it. What's wrong if it's not showing up? I didn't turn the plot on. Good. So how do I turn the plot on? There are two ways, old calculator, new calculator. What way do you guys use? Second y equals? Okay, good. That's one way. I can hit it. I can change to on. Anybody use the shortcut?
Yeah, just go line and
Go up and hit. Good. Good, good, good. Now hit graph. Let me try my zoom stat again. I think it changed the zoom. I don't know, Matthew. It could have been something funny, like maybe when you were typing in the function, it got a little off. When you were typing it in, because you wrote it down correctly. Do you have it right now? Let me see. Does anybody else's calculator have a weird error? Not work? Uh-oh, let me come see.
exact same way.
Oh, it's so easy to miss this. Check out this number, the first one. It's 0.0 instead of 0.
Oh,
I do this all the time, and then it just totally messes me up. But then I think,
there we go.
all better. Yeah, it's so easy. He just had done 0 point instead of 0.0, and I think I did that yesterday in honors, or the day before. It was brutal. Give me 1 second, Jordan. Oh, it's right there at the very top, because it's 10. If you ever lose, you're like, oh, the 10's at the top. So then I would just do a zoom out, because you're looking for that intersection point. Or you could have like manually made it like go that way and that way, but now. Okay, anything else with calculators not working, being weird? Okay, why am I being super particular, making sure I cover any calculator questions today? You need it to work on Monday. You don't need to just have the ideas, you need that thing to be working for you. Yeah. I should probably put a link in Google Classroom. I didn't use Google Classroom at all last year, so right now I'm doing the old-fashioned way, and my old-fashioned way is my YouTube channel. Just as far as you guys being able to access it, my website, Precalc, I have a link to my YouTube channel right there. Does that make sense? So you can access all the videos that I do. Now, here's the dealio. What did we not get to talk about? The end of the worksheet. Now, we did talk about this one yesterday, the point of it. I think most of you guys were probably okay in using the caret button, using the square root button. The stow thing was kind of weird. You don't need to know the stow thing for Monday. The piecewise function-y thing. If I were you guys and you didn't like this, you might want to grab out your phone to take a picture really quickly. But we talked about it yesterday with using the division sign, but maybe you didn't actually write it down, like how to type this in. You can't just type that in. Well, plus there's a typo. It's supposed to be a point. But you're going to have to type in using a division sign and going to second math and using inequalities and the word and, which is also in second math. You just have to go over. But a few of you guys probably didn't quite know what to do with number 20. I know it's number 18, number 20. What they were asking was you to look at this graph and be like, there are lines. Y equals mx plus b. This one seems to hit at 3. That one seems to hit at -4. Aren't those the B's of lines? But the struggle is you also had to think about your rise over your run, which was kind of hard, but I kind of think it's up 1 over 1, just kind of looking at the tick marks. So it sure looks like this guy's slope is 1. And this guy, I kind of just go here because it's easier. It sure looks like it's, wait, pause, down 1 over 1. It sure looks like his slope is -1. So then I go ahead and put in my -1 and my +1. And all I had to do was count and say, for what x's is this guy good? Those ones. For what x's is that guy good? Those ones. But this question is harder than anything on the quiz on Monday, too. First thing Monday, I'll see if you guys have any questions about handbook or worksheets. Have them all ready to turn in. I'll be here during lunch or after school. Bye, guys. Yeah, it's okay. I think I have someone else coming for the pre-cal thing, too. Like we can work on the calculator together.